Today we'll talk about mutual fund chapter, a very important chapter which is very practical. You can apply in your own life. You can invest your money in mutual funds. Nowadays there are a lot of advertisements on TV promoting mutual funds. So even though there is a lot of promotion about mutual funds, still there can be some unawareness. So in this discussion, we are going to cover all about mutual funds, the various types of schemes that they promote, and which are the risky mutual funds, which are less risky mutual fund. We will see them. So first, what is a mutual fund? Mutual fund is a financial intermediary. Mutual fund is a financial intermediary. That means it connects two people. There are people who have surplus cash, surplus income, surplus asset, and there are people who need money, who want to invest in their business. So what they do, they bring these two parties together. The one who has surplus money to invest, that is the people who save, and the people who want to invest in their business or other activities, and they bring these parties together. So that is why I said it is a financial intermediary. It's like a bank. Bank also take deposit from customer and give loan, but it is not exactly a bank, because there are limited number of activities which mutual fund can perform, whereas a bank can perform a large number of activities. So what mutual funds do? Look at this diagram. Mutual funds raise funds from a large number of investors through issue of units under specified schemes. So there are thousands of investors, A, B, C, D, all these investors, they will invest in mutual fund. So somebody may invest 50,000, somebody may invest 1 lakh, somebody may invest 20,000, 1 crore, 2 crore. So therefore mutual fund has got a big asset pool now. So they might have now raised say 10,000 crore rupees, 500 crore rupees. So what they do, they issue units to the investor, that you are the owner of so many units. Units will have a value called net asset value, and then the funds that is raised from these investors, these large number of investors, they are invested in some securities. Securities means like shares, debentures, bonds, commercial paper, certificate of deposit, treasury bonds, etc. You are investing in mutual fund. Think yourself as this investor. You have invested in mutual fund. Mutual fund will invest in securities. Which kind of securities? They will invest in securities like shares, debentures, bond, commercial paper, certificate of deposit, treasury bonds. These are the different types of securities where you invest money and you get some return. Debentures are debt securities, bonds are debt securities issued by government, shares are issued by corporates. And then when they invest in these securities, the securities will generate return. Securities will generate return. Who is the investor here in security? Mutual fund. So securities will generate return. Return in what form? Return can come in the form of dividend. For example, if they invest in shares, so the companies in which they have invested, they will give dividend to this mutual fund, or they will get interest. That is, if they invest in debenture, bond, commercial paper, certificate of deposit, treasury bonds, they will get interest, and plus they will get capital gain also. Capital gain means the profit that arises on sale of securities. profit that arises on sale of securities or appreciation in value or appreciation in value of securities, appreciation in value of securities. So this becomes the return or income of the mutual fund, and this income is passed on to, is distributed to the unit holders, the investors. Distribute the income from the investment to the unit holders or the investor. So this is how a typical mutual fund will operate. Mutual funds have different types of schemes. According to the type of scheme, they will invest your funds, because this is your question generally, that is my investment risky if I invest in mutual fund? It depends on the type of scheme. There are certain schemes where the mutual funds will invest only in equity shares of the company. So if they invest in equity shares of the company, so indirectly your money gets invested in equity shares, and therefore you will have a high risk. But if they invest in treasury bond or bonds issued by the governments, if you invest in mutual fund and mutual fund in return invest in bonds and treasury bonds and commercial paper, the risk will be less. So it depends on the type of scheme. About the scheme we will discuss little later. So if it is an equity scheme, then the risk is high. If it is a debt scheme, the risk is low. And there is something called balanced fund also. Under balanced fund, the risk is moderate, neither too high nor too low, because they invest around 50 to 60% in equity and remaining in bonds. So according to your risk taking ability, you choose the mutual fund scheme, and accordingly your money gets invested, and you know it in advance where your money will be invested, because the mutual fund gives you all the necessary details. Then the question you will ask, why don't the investor himself invest directly in the securities? What is the need to go through the mutual fund route? The answer is that many investors may not have the awareness about the share market, about different types of securities. For example, if I ask you, where will you buy commercial paper? First question will be, what is commercial paper? You don't know. Second question, how do I buy it? What is the procedure? What is the form involved? How much minimum amount I need to buy? How much return they will generate? So most of us don't know much about security market. We only probably know the bank FD, the post office deposits, but there are so many other investment avenues which we don't know. So mutual funds which are managed by professionally qualified people, they know where to invest, when to buy, when to sell, in which proportion to buy or sell to maximize the return, and whatever return they generate after deducting their commission, they will pass it on to the investors. So that is the advantage of investing through mutual funds. Of course, if you can manage your own investment directly, then you can do that also, but then you have to invest a lot of time, energy, effort, do your own research, take all the necessary formalities yourself. Then you can invest directly in the share market, bond market, or other instrument. So let us read the introduction part quickly. What is a mutual fund? It's a financial intermediary which acts as an instrument of investment. So you will invest in mutual fund will invest in other securities. It collects funds from different investors to a common pool of investable fund, and then invest these funds in a wide variety of investment opportunities. The investment may be diversified to spread risk and to ensure a good return to the investor. So they invest in large varieties of shares, securities, bonds. So you get the benefit of diversification, returns are maximized, risk is minimized. And why you should invest through mutual fund? Because these are managed by professionals, experts, investment consultants, It is their profession to manage the investment. If I am a doctor, I don't know about the technicalities of invested. If I am an engineer, I am a film artist, I am a sports person, we don't know about the technicalities of investment. And if you don't want to put your own time effort in that, the best way is that you can invest in mutual fund, and the remaining decisions will be taken care of by them. This fund manager select portfolios, securities, and accordingly they invest your funds. Their intention is also to generate high return, because if they generate high return, they will get more customer, they will earn more income. So their success lies in the success of the portfolio. So let us understand the features of mutual fund. One by one, first we'll read the features and discuss in detail. Mutual funds involve pooling of resources, professional management, ownership, not lending. You're owning a unit, not the asset. Net asset value and taxation. So let us go one by one. First is, mutual fund is a financial intermediary which pools resources from a large number of investors. So there are hundreds and thousands and lakhs of investors who invest in mutual fund. They collect money from such large number of investors. So now they have a big amount to invest. So they basically convert people's savings into investment. If you earn 1 lakh rupees a month, how much will you spend a month? Say 50,000 rupees. What about the remaining 50,000? If you just keep it in your saving account, you will hardly get any interest. But if you invest, and in our chapter, if you invest through mutual fund, you will get a much higher rate of return. Mutual funds are managed by professionals. Who are these professionals? They are like chartered accountants, cost accountants, MBA graduates, people with experience in the field of investment, who have the finance degree, MBA finance people, who are trained in this science and art of security analysis. So they are trained how to pick up the stock, how to sell the stock, when to buy. Third feature is, when you are investing in mutual fund, your status is that of owner, not that of lender. The meaning is that if the mutual fund earns more profit, you will also earn more profit because you'll get a share in that. But if the mutual fund suffers losses, then you will also suffer loss because you are a part owner of that mutual fund scheme. So therefore, there is no guaranteed return. If somebody tells you that if you invest in this mutual fund, you'll get 15% return or 20% return, he's fooling you. There is no guaranteed return. No scheme can give you a guaranteed return. Whatever return they will generate, they will pass it to you, which can be high or which can be low. There is no fixed rate of interest on the mutual fund. This question normally people will ask those who don't know about mutual fund, how much rate of interest I will get, how much rate of return I will get. So be aware, there is no fixed rate of interest or fixed rate of dividend or fixed return. Whatever is the rate of return mutual fund generates, after deducting their management fees, they will pass it on to you. So your status is of that of an owner, not that of a lender. When you are investing in mutual fund, you are allotted units. That means your proportionate share in that mutual fund scheme. In case if you want to get your money back, then you can sell your units back and they will give you your amount, whatever is the value of those units on the date of redemption. You cannot claim the assets of the company. You cannot say that against this 1000 unit, give me this asset, give me these shares, give me this computer. No, you can't do that. When you invest in mutual fund, then there is something called net asset value. You will buy the units at net asset value. You will redeem the units at net asset value. How is this net asset value calculated? Net asset value means the assets of the mutual fund scheme divided by number of units they have issued. Assets divided by number of units. Okay, so for example, I'll just write here, suppose the value of the assets is 100 crore, minus they will deduct their liabilities if any, and divide by number of units. Suppose number of units are 10 lakhs. So 80 lakh divided by 10 lakh, the net asset value per unit will be 8 rupees per unit in our example. So if you want to buy mutual funds, you will have to pay 8 rupees. If you will redeem mutual fund, they will pay you 8 rupees. This net asset value will change every day. Why this net asset value changes every day? Because the value of your assets will change. Suppose they have invested in the share market and the share prices have gone up, so then possibly your net asset value will go up. But if the share prices have gone down, possibly your net asset value will come down, right? So NAV indicates whether the value of your assets, value of your mutual fund is appreciating or not. So Mr. A bought units of mutual fund at 10.20. After 1 month, NAV is 12.40. So it means there is a gain to Mr. A here. 12.40 is the value now, but he had bought it for 10.20. So there is a 2 rupees 20 paise appreciation here. So NAV is used to check how much return we are earning. NAV is used to buy the units. NAV is used to sell the units. Advantage of investing in mutual fund is taxation benefit. Income of a mutual fund registered with SEBI is exempt from taxation under section 1023D of the Income Tax Act. So there are a lot of tax benefit of investing in the mutual fund. Dividends are exempted. Then capital gain tax is charged at a lower rate. Capital gain tax is charged at a lower rate. But about taxation, you have to read the latest tax law because it keeps changing. And then you can invest in equity linked saving scheme under section 80C, and you will get tax deduction up to rupees say 1.5 lakhs. This is also tax benefit. So dividend is exempt, but please look at the tax law. It keeps changing. It may become taxable. Then capital gain is charged at a lower rate. Then under section 80C of the income tax, if you invest rupees 1,50,000 up to rupees 1,50,000 invested in ELSS, will give you deduction from your gross total income. So to that extent, you save your tax liability. So these are the features of mutual fund. Quickly we'll discuss the history of mutual funds in India. The first mutual fund started in 1964 under the name UTI, Unit Trust of India, and an act was passed called UTI Act 1963, and it was the only mutual fund at that time. And one of the most popular unit scheme was Unit Scheme 1964. US 1964 it was called. It was a very popular scheme. Most people used to invest in that. And during this period, UTI enjoyed monopoly up to 1987. So it's almost 23 years the UTI had a monopoly. But then what the government did, it started other public sector mutual funds in the second phase. Second phase was from 1987 to 1993. So public sector units like SBI, started SBI Mutual Fund, Canara Bank started Can Bank Mutual Fund, LIC started LIC Mutual Fund, Indian Bank started Indian Bank Mutual Fund. So all these are still public sector units. That means where the majority stake is with the government. But now during this period, the competition among mutual funds started. UTI was no longer a monopolist now. It had to face competition from other mutual funds, and the competition started increasing. Mutual fund industry started expanding. Then came phase 3. In phase 3, even private sector mutual fund and foreign mutual fund companies were allowed to start their mutual funds in India. And this period there was a huge competition. So many mutual fund houses started operating in India. So you will see around you now Reliance Mutual Fund, ICICI Mutual Fund is there, HDFC Mutual Fund, okay, Tata Mutual Fund, and so many. Even foreign companies like Franklin Templeton, DSP, BlackRock, Fidelity, they started operating mutual funds in India. Technology was brought into mutual fund. Now you can do the transaction on your mobile also. And during this period, for the first time, SEBI mutual fund regulations started. That means SEBI started regulating the mutual funds. Lot of public money was involved. So there is need to protect the interest of the public, and hence the regulations started, and these regulations were very tough. Only if you can follow these regulations, you are allowed to operate mutual fund schemes in India. And now we are in the phase 4, when mutual funds no longer remain the domain of the public sector. The competition has intensified, and a new set of regulation, SEBI 1996, was introduced. Paragraph next says role of mutual funds in the financial market. Mutual funds play a very important role. Nowadays, for your information, they are managing funds of lakhs of crores of rupees, which means there are lakhs of people who had saved money, and now that money has got channelized into productive investment, because they invest in the capital market, share market. So this money gets utilized by business people for productivity, for buying capital goods, buying factories, giving employment. So savings which were idle have been channelized into productive investment. They offer different types of scheme to attract different investors. Mutual fund offers so many schemes that whatever is your need, you can find there is a scheme catering to your needs. The share of mutual fund in household savings have been steadily increasing. If you look at the statistics, the role of traditional instrument like FD is declining, post office deposits declining, and the total proportion of funds invested in mutual funds have been increasing over a period of time. Investors are benefited, they get higher return, and the idle savings are channelized into productive investment. Companies get funds, so overall development of the economy takes place. The mutual funds have not only supported equity market, but they have also invested in debentures and government securities. So they indirectly they provide funds to the government also by investing in the government securities. So the summary of this paragraph is that mutual funds convert the idle savings into productive investment. It's a win-win situation for all the people involved in mutual fund investment. Investor benefits, government benefits, companies benefit, the fund managers benefit because they get higher income. What are the advantages of investing in mutual fund? So many news channel, or TV ads, newspaper ads, they are trying to promote mutual funds in big way. So let us summarize what are the benefits of mutual fund investing. Point 1, I have told you, they are managed by professionals, highly qualified, talented people who have the expertise, who have been trained in the art and science of security analysis. So they select the securities, they decide which security to buy, which security to sell, what should be the proportion in which they should buy and sell. So as an individual, I don't have that much knowledge. If you are a cricketer, okay, Virat Kohli, so you may be earning hundreds of crores of rupees in a year, but then you don't know how to analyze the balance sheet of the company, how to decide where to invest. So he would invest in this mutual fund. MSD also invest. Mahendra Singh Dhoni, I have planned for my retirement by investing in mutual fund. In one of the ads I have seen him speaking this, because he knows that he does not have that much professional expertise to choose the securities. Better let the professionals do their job, and you being a cricketer, focus on your work. You being a doctor, you being an engineer, you being a film artist, you focus on your work. The investment is a separate art altogether. So let the professional do their duty. Second benefit is that low cost, high value portfolio diversification. Portfolio diversification means investing in different classes of asset, different types of securities, so that your risk is diversified, risk is reduced. Okay, but as an individual, if you try to do that, it will require a lot of money to invest in different class of asset. But when you invest in mutual fund, they collect funds from large number of people. So a mutual fund can invest in 150 securities, but can an individual who earns 40,000 rupees per month, or say 1 lakh rupees per month, can he invest in 150 securities? To invest in 150 securities, you may probably require 3.5 lakh. But you say, I can only invest 15,000 rupees per month. So what you cannot do directly, you can do it indirectly through investment in mutual fund, because they will collect funds from a large number of people like you. So they have accumulated funds of hundreds of crores. They can diversify into many securities. Third advantage comes from the second advantage. When you invest in mutual fund, your risk is diversified, your risk gets reduced. Individually, you may not be able to do that because of limited funds. You may not be able to invest in 150, 200 securities or different types of asset class. But when you invest in mutual fund, your money gets channelized into multiple investments. So you get the benefit of low cost diversification. Diversification reduces the risk. Next is reduction in transaction cost also. When you invest in mutual fund, your transaction cost is very, very low compared to other investment. You get the benefit of professional advice. They don't charge you separately for professional advice. They don't charge you for selection of securities, and they charge you a very limited amount of money for managing the mutual fund. Compared to direct investing, where the brokerage is very high, if you invest in mutual fund, there is a very low cost. Mutual funds buy in bulk. Mutual funds buy shares in one lot 50 crore rupees, 100 crore rupees, 10 crore rupees. Brokerage charge to them is very low. If you as an individual want to buy shares, the brokerage would be very high. So that benefit of low transaction cost is also passed to the investor. Why mutual funds are so popular? because they offer the benefit of liquidity. You can sell your mutual funds anytime. Within 3 working days, the amount will get transferred to your bank account. In some schemes, the amount get transferred to your bank account within 1 day also. So that is the benefit of liquidity. Only the liquidity benefit is not there if you invest in ELSS scheme, because you have got the tax benefit. So there is a 3-year lock-in period. For 3 years, you can't sell, you can't redeem this equity linked saving scheme mutual fund. Otherwise, in all other schemes, you can convert into cash in short notice. And then next benefit is convenient administration. Managing your mutual funds have become very easy now. Very, very easy, because you can get all the information that you need about your mutual fund investment. They have the website. You can log into their website and you can see which units you have bought, when did you buy, how much dividend that you have received, how much return you have earned, how much capital gain you had. In fact, now there are mobile apps available, so that has made your task much easier. You can request the mutual funds to provide you any kind of information that you need, and they will provide it to you. You can use the statement of mutual fund for your accounting purposes also. So there is almost zero paperwork now. You can buy, sell online, you can get all the statement online, you can download the statement. Based on that, you can do the accounting also, you can do your tax work also. So that is the advantage of investing in mutual fund. You don't have to take a lot of follow up with the brokers and agents. With small investment of your time, you can understand exactly where do you stand when you invest in mutual fund. What about the return potential? That is a $1 million question. Return potential, this is the question I get from a lot of people. Those who don't know much about mutual fund, what is the rate of interest I will get? There is no fixed rate of interest. What is the rate of dividend I will get? There is no fixed rate of dividend. It depends on the scheme that you have chosen. You may invest in equity fund scheme where the return potential is very high, but there is a risk also. You can invest in debt fund, liquid funds where the risk is very low, but the return potential is also low. However, it has been observed that compared to other securities like bank FD, government securities, post office securities, post office deposits, post office RD account, Kisan Vikas Patra, PPF, NSC, usually the return on mutual fund is on a higher side. Okay, so it beats other securities like bank FD, government security, post office security, but that in the long run. If you invest today and want to become a wealthier person in after 3 months or 4 months time, then it will not happen. Last but not the least, transparency. What is transparency? Mutual fund provides you all the information that you need to make the decision about investment. In order to make the investment, I need information. Whatever information that is needed by you to take the decision is available to you, and you can check them. Like for example, you want to know the history of past return. They will provide you how much rate of return this scheme has earned in the last 5 years, last 3 years, last 2 years, last 1 year, last 6 months, like that. You want to know who is the fund manager? They will give you the name of the fund manager. You want to know what is the proportion of investment in equity or debt or which security they will invest, that information is also available. What are their charges when you buy or sell mutual fund? That will also be disclosed to you. if you need any other information, you can ask them. That will also be provided to you. And then SEBI regulates them, so they have to give lot of disclosures. They are regulated by SEBI. SEBI has asked them to give lot of disclosures about their funds, and therefore the investors can take a more informed decision. They will also tell you what is the level of risk you are taking, whether your level of risk is low, moderate, high, very high. That is also disclosed by them nowadays. So what more do you want? And the last is tax benefit. You can invest in equity linked saving scheme up to rupees 1,50,000, and this is deducted from your gross total income, GTI. And if you are a person in high tax bracket, like say 30%, so straight away you will save around 45,000, and some surcharge also you will save. Long term capital gain is subject to low rate of tax. So these are some advantages. So if you are a taxpayer, then understand that mutual fund investment will help you to save taxes also. So you can take the benefit of that. When I tell you the advantages, it is my duty to tell you the disadvantages also. But disadvantages are very few. First disadvantage is that the success of the mutual fund depends on the skill, experience and analysis of the professional managers. That is the person who is managing the mutual fund. They are ultimately individuals. They have some skill, some talent, experience, intuition to take the judgment. Some investors invest assuming that this fund manager is going to manage my funds. Mr. A invested in HDFC mutual fund assuming that this fund manager will manage my funds. If that fund manager leaves, then it will be managed by some other person and you can't do anything about it. You can't choose your fund manager. So sometime when a very good fund manager leaves the mutual fund house for whatever reasons, he might join elsewhere, he might have a different career option, then you will have to now depend on the skill and judgment of a new fund manager who may not be as skillful as the previous one. Either you redeem your units or you deal with the other fund managers. Second is mutual fund incur various types of expenses. That is one serious problem. Nowadays the competition has increased so much that they have to incur lot of administration charges, publicity expenses. These fund managers, they have to be paid a huge salary, bonus and pay package. So ultimately, who is going to bear the burden of these expenses? Ultimately, the burden will be borne by the investor only, because investor's income, simple equation, investor's return will be return earned by mutual fund minus expenses incurred by mutual fund. Simple, if I have to explain, if they earn 12% by investing in different securities, and if they spend 3% for example, so what you will get? Only 9%, right? So if suppose instead of 3 I make it 4, your return will fall to 8% now. SEBI has put lot of restriction on the amount of expenditure they will incur, and nowadays they have to disclose these expenses also frequently. So compare the mutual funds in terms of their expense they are incurring, which is called expense ratio, and if some mutual fund is incurring a large expense or their expense ratio is high, maybe you may not invest in such mutual fund. Third disadvantage is sometimes the small investors suffer on account of the action of the large investor. Small investor suffer on account of action of the large investor. So this is Mr. A, small investor. Then this is a big company, say Bajaj Auto Limited. He is a very large investor because they also invest their surplus money in mutual fund. They have invested in the same mutual fund. Mr. A has invested 2 lakh rupees. Bajaj Auto Limited has invested 200 crores rupees in HDFC mutual fund. So what happens? Bajaj Auto Limited after a month needs money urgently because they may have received a big order to deliver bikes. For that they need to purchase raw material, component, etc. So they will ask HDFC mutual fund, please redeem my units, our units, please redeem our units. So HDFC received a request to redeem the units of the Bajaj mutual fund, 200 crore rupees. So do they keep 200 rupees, HDFC mutual fund, do they keep 200 crore rupees in their cash account, bank account, saving account, current account? No. They have already invested this money in some shares. If they keep in cash balance, then how do they earn return? So this 200 crore rupees have been invested in some shares. So how will HDFC redeem Bajaj Auto Limited? They will also sell their shares. They will sell their shares, raise money and then make payment to Bajaj Auto. So HDFC goes to the stock market and sell shares. But then what happened on that day when this big redemption request had come? On the same day the stock market had crashed. Crashed means the stock market prices, share prices had gone down by a huge percentage. But then HDFC mutual fund has no choice. They will have to sell the shares because they have to redeem their client. So even if it results into loss, they will sell. So they suffered loss. HDFC suffered huge loss. So because HDFC suffered huge loss, their NAV will fall drastically. Mr. A, who has nothing to do with whatever is happening there, he will find the NAV of his mutual fund unit, which was 15 rupees a day back, has become 12 rupees, 13 rupees, 14 rupees. And why it has happened? Because a big investor like Bajaj Auto had put a huge redemption request on a date when the market had crashed. So small investor can suffer on account of action of large investor. Point number 4, there is no guaranteed return. If some mutual fund agents, advisors, if they ask you to invest in mutual fund, any scheme, whether it is systematic investment plan, equity fund, bond fund, liquid fund, etc., etc., and if they say this mutual fund will give 10% return, 15% return, you ask them, you please give it to me in writing on a stamp paper, and in case if I don't get that much return, you will have to give me the difference. He will say, no sir, I cannot give you in writing. But based on past experience, I am telling you, past is not the guarantee of future in the stock market or in the mutual fund cases. That is why in many advertisement they write this note at the end in unreadable format that past is not the guarantee of future. Please read the offer document carefully. Mutual funds are subject to market risk. So there is no guaranteed return. You can suffer losses also. You can suffer losses even in debt funds also, liquid funds also. Although the risk is very less in debt fund and liquid fund, but there is no guaranteed return. And this point is a repetition. There are large number of expenses like entry load, exit load, fees paid to AMC. What is entry load? When the investor like you buy mutual fund, they may charge you some amount. They may charge you some amount that is called entry load. That is the cost you pay for entering into a mutual fund scheme. And when you redeem your units, you means you, the investor, they will charge you exit load. Of course, there are a lot of schemes where there is no entry load, no exit load. Some of them don't charge entry load, but they charge exit load. Some of them may not charge exit load, but they may charge you entry load. Then mutual funds are managed by asset management companies, AMC, and they charge some fees for managing the mutual fund. Nothing is free, so there is a cost involved, but of course this cost is relatively lower compared to other avenues. Then there were cases of unethical practices also in case of few mutual fund. Now this may not be applicable for all mutual funds at all time. So this is rare event. They may enter into unethical practices also. How? Let us say, I will not write the name of exact mutual fund, but some ABC I will write. A Limited is a promoter, sponsor of ABC mutual fund. A Limited has a subsidiary B Limited. So what this mutual fund will be asked to do? They will be asked to invest in B Limited. A Limited will put pressure on the ABC mutual fund that you invest in B Limited. Who is B Limited? B Limited is a subsidiary of A. So even though the fund manager of ABC mutual fund knows B Limited is not worth investing, he might still be pressurized to invest in B Limited. So basically the funds are getting diverted to one of the group companies. Large number of investors, they are trusting this ABC mutual fund, and what they are doing, they are investing in the group company of the sponsor or the promoter. So that is not actually correct. It is unethical. They should invest based on merit. If some investment, some shares are worth investing based on their analysis, they must invest, not because of the pressure of somebody else. Some mutual funds may be subject to lock-in period. Lock-in period means you cannot redeem your units during this period, but this is only for ELSS scheme, right? So these are some disadvantages of mutual fund, but these disadvantages are very few compared to the advantages that you get. Mutual funds, paragraph 7, mutual funds meets investors' goal. Why you should invest in mutual fund? So many TV advertisement tell you invest in mutual fund, but they should explain in little more detail. Different people may have different investment goal. Somebody may want to earn high rate of return. There are schemes for that. Somebody wants to keep his money safe and still earn some 7, 8, 10% return. There are schemes for that. Somebody may want to plan for his children education, then he can invest in such securities. Somebody may want to save taxes, there are schemes for that. So whatever are your requirements, your needs, you will find that there are certain schemes catering to your requirement. So you can fund your child education through certain scheme. If you want to invest in certain industries like pharma industry, you think that in the next few years pharma industry will grow. or you want to invest in IT sector, then you have funds which are dedicated for pharma sector, IT sector. There are different types of scheme according to your risk taking abilities, like equity fund, highly risky, debt and liquid fund, less risky, balance fund, somewhat moderate. There are funds for small, medium, large investor. There are funds for young investors like you and old investors like Manmohan Singh. The mutual fund industry also serves the investor's objective of tax saving. So think what you need, and there are schemes to cater to your needs. Now next is paragraph 8, establishment of a mutual fund. So who are the key players involved in the establishment and running of a mutual fund? Not a very important topic for you, but still understanding the people behind the show is also important. So when you watch a movie, you also sometimes look at the director, the producer, the music director, the choreographer. It's like that. So who are the people behind the show and what do they do? So mutual fund in India is registered as a trust under the Indian Trust Act. So they have to follow all the rules and regulations of Indian Trust Act. Mutual fund is promoted by the sponsor. So sponsor is promoter. Just like a company is promoted by somebody, mutual fund also has to be started by someone. Anything to come into existence has to be promoted by someone. So that someone in case of mutual fund is called sponsor, promoter. So usually these are large corporates. You will find that HDFC mutual fund promoted by HDFC, SBI mutual fund promoted by SBI, Reliance mutual fund promoted by Reliance. So this way, usually these are big corporates which big companies which sponsor a mutual fund. They put initial capital. If you want to write, you have to write quickly. They put initial capital. They fulfill all formalities. Just like in case of company, whatever documentation formality, procedural formality, legal formalities are required, taking approval, applying to SEBI, then identifying trustees, identifying asset management companies. So all these other entities also are identified by the sponsor and they enter into agreement with such people. So that is sponsor, the one who brings the mutual fund into existence. Then mutual funds, as you can understand, are managing funds of large number of people. So public money is involved. A person like you who earns 1 lakh rupees a month or 5,000 rupees a month as stipend, you have invested in mutual funds, so you are taking the risk. Somebody should be there to protect the risk, protect you from the risk. So that person is called trustee. Trustee appointed by sponsor to protect the interest of investors, to protect the interest of investors. And it is an independent unit, independent company. Then comes asset management company. Asset management company is the brain of mutual fund. Why it is brain? They take investment decisions. They take investment decisions. So every mutual fund has an asset management company, because somebody has to be there to take your investment decision, when to buy, when to sell. They design new schemes also. In order to raise funds, they may come out with new schemes. They earn commission. What is their intention? To earn commission on asset under management, AUM, asset under management. They earn commission on asset under management. So more the asset under management, higher the commission they will earn. Sponsor has a stake in AMC. So I'll come back to sponsor. Sponsor has a stake in AMC. So suppose AMC sponsor has 40% stake in that company. So if AMC earns 100 crore rupees in a year, out of 100 crore, it means 40%, 40 crore will go to the sponsor. That is why the sponsor is interested in floating a mutual fund. And AMC, they do lot of promotion, lot of advertisements to bring more and more funds under its management. So success of the mutual fund depends on AMC. Last point I will write, success of mutual fund depends on AMC, because they are ultimately the people who take the decision relating to investment. And then there are other agencies involved for completing the procedures, formalities, like custodian. Custodians for safe custody of securities. As mutual funds buy large number of securities, somebody has to keep a safe custody of securities, like the certificates or whatever. Nowadays securities are held in demat form. Securities are held in demat form with depository. So either custodian or depository will keep a safe custody of the securities of mutual fund. And then one of the main agencies involved is banker for transfer of funds. So these mutual funds tie up with some big banks. Whenever the customer invests money, they receive the check and they deposit with the respective bank. Whenever the customer wants the redemption, the payment is made through these banks. So they need to have good banks, and they can transfer the funds two ways. They may receive the money from the investor, they will pay back the money to the investor when he wants redemption. So bankers are for transfer of funds. And then there is a transfer agent for keeping a record of unit holders. For keeping a record of unit holders, for updating unit holder register, and they provide such other formalities, other services to the investor. So at any point of time, if you want to know how many units I am holding, when did I buy, when did I sell, this transfer agents, they have got all the information about your records. So these are the people involved in establishment of a mutual fund. paragraph number, this is signal just before paragraph 7, signals highlighting the exit of the investor from the mutual fund, tick mark. When should you exit from a mutual fund scheme? You have invested in a mutual fund scheme, but then it is not necessary that you have to remain stayed forever. Consistently, continuously, periodically, you should review your portfolio, your investment. Even if it is mutual fund, you need to review whether my objectives are satisfied or not. So one thing you must check is performance. Nowadays there are a lot of websites where the performance of different mutual fund in the same category can be compared. So if you have invested in the equity fund, say for example HDFC equity fund, you can compare the performance with let us say Reliance equity fund or others, compared for some years, 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 5 years, and you are finding that this scheme is continuously underperforming. Compared to these other three, the return of this fund is low. So why to remain invested in this? Why don't you shift to the other which are giving you higher return? Sell this and buy others. This is just example. Okay. Or sometime you have invested in, let us say, HDFC Sensex fund. What is HDFC Sensex fund? They invest in the 30 shares of Sensex. So these 30 shares are India's top 30 blue chip companies, best companies. As an individual investor, you don't want to invest in 30 shares. You can invest in the HDFC or any such mutual fund, Sensex fund, Nifty fund, and they will invest in the 30 shares. Now what happened? This HDFC Sensex fund gave a return of 10% during a year, but the Sensex have appreciated by 15%. Next year, 10.5% return. Sensex have appreciated by 17%. So consistently this scheme is underperforming compared to peers, compared to the benchmark index. Then what is the point in continuing? You can change the HDFC mutual fund scheme. Second point, changes in the objective of the mutual fund. The mutual fund's objective can change. For example, from less risky security, now they want to invest in more risky securities. But investor will say, no, I don't want to take more risk. Then you can sell the mutual funds. Investor's objective changes. When he invested, he wanted to take risk. He was young. But then lot of uncertainties happened. After 5 years, now he is not the same person. Now his risk appetite has gone down. So he would sell his investment in, say, equity fund and transfer the money to debt fund or balance fund. And fourth reason I have told you earlier also, the fund manager changes. Old fund manager either leaves or he is replaced by another fund manager who may not be as experienced, skillful, talented as the previous one. And therefore you may think of changing your scheme. Come to now directly, today you do one homework, you read these regulations, paragraph number 9. Not very important. Important terms I have explained. The important thing now to be discussed is mutual fund schemes. If you want to invest in mutual fund, then you must understand that mutual fund schemes are different from each other. There is a different objective and each scheme will serve certain purposes. So therefore in the beginning only I said there is no guaranteed return, and you can't really say how much rate of return you will earn because it depends on the scheme that you are investing in. So I have made a small list of mutual fund schemes. Broadly they will be divided into two. All mutual funds will be broadly divided into two categories: open-ended and closed-ended scheme. Then depending upon whether they ask you to pay entry load and exit load, we will call them load fund and no load funds. Based on your investment objective of the investor, the mutual funds can be income fund, growth fund, balanced fund, tax saving funds. And based on where do these mutual funds invest your money further, it can be money market fund, gilt fund, debt funds, equity funds, index funds, like that. Based on ownership, who owns that mutual fund, who is the sponsor? It can be public sector mutual fund, private sector mutual fund, foreign mutual fund. And there are some special funds like international fund, offshore fund, sectoral funds, and funds of funds. So next 5 to 10 minutes we will try to understand these different types of schemes. As I said, most schemes or all schemes will be broadly divided into two categories: open-ended scheme and closed-ended schemes. So what are open-ended schemes? First you see open-ended scheme. Open-ended schemes sell and repurchase the units of mutual fund on a continuous basis. That means there is no closing date, there is no maturity date. You can buy anytime, you can sell anytime, right? So once the scheme is launched, then there is no end date, there is no maturity date. Only in some cases when the mutual fund itself will close down, then it will be closed. But otherwise, like a company, its life goes on forever. So if you want to buy, you can buy from the same mutual fund. If you want to redeem, you can redeem with the same mutual fund. An investor can become a member by purchasing the unit, and he can exit by selling these units back to the mutual fund. At what rate you will buy and sell this mutual fund? Units can be bought and sold at NAV, net asset value, which is calculated periodically on the basis of market value of the portfolio of the mutual fund. In fact, NAV is calculated daily. Periodically means daily. So every day they will calculate NAV, and at that NAV you can buy or sell the mutual fund. One of the most popular open-ended scheme was US 1964, but now also there are many open-ended scheme. In fact, more than 90% schemes are open-ended scheme. Majority of them are open-ended scheme, and majority means it's very high, 90% and above. You can buy anytime, you can sell anytime. If more and more people join a mutual fund, the total funds available goes up. If more and more people redeem on a given day, the total funds available goes down. So the number of units keep changing, okay, every day. Number of units keep changing every day. We are going to solve some question on open-ended scheme after some time. If on a given day there are new units issued are 1 lakh and old issued redeemed are 50,000, so that day the number of units will go up by 50,000. But if the number of new units issued are 50,000, old units redeemed are 1 lakh, then the number of outstanding unit will fall down. Then there is something called closed-ended fund. What is a closed-ended fund? In which the limited number of units are sold to investor during a specified period only. So I'll just tell you briefly, then we can read. Suppose a mutual fund wants to come out with a new scheme. It wants to come out with a closed-ended scheme. So what it will do? First it will go for new fund offer, which is sometimes called IPO, but the correct terminology would be NFO, new fund offer. It is like IPO of a company share, but we will call it NFO. So this is mutual fund and this is investor. So NFO, units are issued to investor, investor invest in the mutual fund. This NFO is open only for few days. During new fund offer period, you can buy or sell, you can buy directly from the mutual fund. After that, these closed-ended schemes are listed on the exchange, and then if you want to buy or sell, you have to buy and sell through the exchange. Once the period is over, once the specified period is over, then what they will do? They will sell the units. They will sell all the investment. Suppose it's a 3-year closed-ended fund. After 3 years, they will sell all the investment of that scheme. They will pay all the liabilities of that scheme. Whatever net amount will remain, net asset, net cash they will receive, will be distributed proportionately to the unit holders. In case if you want to sell them after the new fund offer period is over, you can trade them in the stock exchange. However, all the closed-ended scheme are redeemable at the end of the specified period, when all the investment of the scheme are sold and the proceeds are distributed among the unit holders on a proportionate basis. One of the most popular open-ended scheme was UTI Master Gain Share, closed-ended scheme. Next point is, you have to write down in your notebook a small note I will dictate. Difference between open-ended and closed-ended funds. Difference between open-ended and closed-ended funds. Difference between open-ended and closed-ended funds. So write down a table. First write down heading. Topic is mutual fund, and the subtopic is now difference between open-ended and closed-ended funds. Difference between open-ended and closed-ended funds. 4 columns you will draw. Serial number, parameter, open-ended fund, closed-ended fund. Serial number, parameter, open-ended fund, closed-ended funds. So write down first point, fund size. Fund size, open-ended fund, flexible, because more people buying units, the total funds available will go up. More people redeeming units than the one who buy, the funds available goes down. In closed-ended fund, it is fixed. Suppose it's a 1,000 crore rupees fund, so they will raise 1,000 crore rupees. In future, there is no transaction between mutual fund and the investor. There will be transaction in the stock exchange which is between investor and investor. So funds available remains fixed. Of course, the value will keep going up and down because of price of the share going up and down. Point number 2, write down liquidity provider. Liquidity provider, open-ended fund itself. You will buy from the same mutual fund house, you will sell to the same mutual fund house. The liquidity is provided by the stock market, because you have to buy and sell in the stock market. Buy and sell these mutual fund units in the stock market. So there is liquidity, but that liquidity is provided by the stock market where these units are listed for trading. Next, sell price. Sell price means the rate at which mutual fund units are sold to the investor. Rate at which mutual fund units are sold to the investor. So it is equal to NAV plus load if any. NAV plus load if any. Point number 3, sell price. In case of open-ended scheme, whatever is the ongoing NAV of that day plus any load, any entry load, any charge. Load means charge. Closed-ended fund, because they are traded on the stock exchange, they may be trading at significant premium or discount to NAV. They may be traded at significant premium or discount to NAV. Traded at a significant premium or discount to NAV. So it may be above NAV, depends on how the market views about the future movement of that NAV, or it may be discount to NAV. Point number 4, right, availability. Availability. From where will you buy this mutual fund, open-ended mutual fund? So to buy open-ended mutual fund, you will go to the fund itself. You will go to the fund itself. And to buy closed-ended fund, you will buy it in the new fund offer, but after that through exchange where listed. So I will just add one more thing. Initially in new fund offer, NFO, and later if you can't buy in new fund offer, then later you can transact in stock exchange. Next point, number 5, intraday trading. Intraday trading. Can you do intraday trading? Means buy in the morning and sell in the afternoon or evening before the market closes. That is called intraday trading. Buying and selling within the same day, and if there is a difference in the price, you make profit. In case of open-ended fund, not possible, because they are not traded on the stock exchange. They are not traded on the stock exchange. Closed-ended fund, you can do it, but it is expensive. Can do it, but expensive, because you have to pay brokerage twice, and the difference should be too high for that purpose. So expensive. What about NAV? This is common. NAV are calculated daily now. Every day the mutual fund will calculate the NAV and disclose it to the public. And portfolio disclosure. What is their portfolio? That is also required to be disclosed now on monthly basis. So monthly disclosure. Portfolio disclosure have to be given monthly. What are the securities where they have invested? So these are some similarities and some differences. Last 2 points are actually similarity. So the heading should be similarity and differences between open and closed-ended funds. Come to next point. Point number 2, load funds and no load funds. Load funds and no load funds. When you are investing in mutual funds, they may charge you certain expense, charge you for investing. Ultimately, mutual fund is also an organization. It has an administrative setup. It has to pay salary. It has to pay rent. Then there are office expenses, electricity, telephone, internet, right, papers, stationery, website, technology based expenses. So therefore mutual fund charges you some amount when you buy the units of mutual fund, and they may charge you some amount when you redeem your units. So these are called front end load or entry load. What is front end load? These are the charges when a particular investor buys the units of mutual fund. And entry load, exit load or back end load, these are the charges when he redeems the unit, or sometime the charges will be deferred over the period. But more popularly we are going to use in our discussion entry load and exit load. Entry load is charged when the mutual fund house sells the units to the investor. So I will now explain this entry load concept. Suppose this is mutual fund, HDFC mutual fund, and this is the investor. This is the investor, Kangana. Name of the investor, Kangana. Okay. Kangana wants to invest in the mutual fund. So what will be the transaction? Kangana will pay rupees and mutual fund will issue units. This transaction is called sale transaction by mutual fund to the investor. So this is a sale transaction. Sale and repurchase have to be looked at from investor's point of view. Mutual fund. Sale transaction. Mutual fund has sold units to investor. Mutual fund has sold units to investor. At what rate it will sell? Suppose on this date the NAV was 15 rupees and the entry load is 1%. Entry load is usually 1 to 2.5%, but nowadays it's not there for many schemes. So entry load is 1%. So how much would be the sale price? How much would be the sale price? The sale price will be 15 plus 1%. 15 plus 1% is 15.15. So Kangana has to pay 15.15 for 1 unit of mutual fund. So if she wants to buy 1000 unit, Kangana has to pay 15,000 150 rupees. Kangana will have to pay 15,150 rupees if she wants to acquire 1000 units based on this data given. After 3 months, Kangana comes again. Okay? So now see the transaction. This is mutual fund. This is Kangana. Kangana will hand over those 1000 units to mutual fund. Mutual fund will pay rupees. So how they will do the calculation? Suppose after 3 months when Kangana comes to redeem the units, the NAV is 16.50 and the exit load is 0.5%. Exit load is 0.5%. So what is the amount per unit Kangana will get? 16.50 minus 0.5%. 16.50 minus 0.5%. So something around 16.4175. and if she is redeeming 1000 units, then she will get 16,417.50. 16,417.50. So this way the mutual fund charges you entry load and exit load. So when they will sell units to you, mutual fund to Kangna, they will add entry load. When Kangna wants to redeem, they will pay her after deducting the exit load. So this is how you compute sell price and repurchase price. Sale price when mutual fund sells to the investor. Repurchase price is applicable when mutual fund repurchases back, buys back. It's indirectly you are buying back the same units which you had sold earlier. So it will be at NAV minus exit load. Now we'll exit for some seconds. Exit now.